After Abu Dhabi and the tennis elite failed to predict it, Alexia just made a huge profit. The Filipina, aged 20, earned a total of $45,859 from a tournament run that left rivals watching their backs, fans yelling, and rankings destroyed. YA demonstrated that she is not only ascending, but also arriving with a career-defining comeback that saved a match point and a ranking climb that placed her at number 38 in the world. Additionally, the shock waves are just getting started. It was not Alexia's intention to appear on the Abu Dhabi International Tennis Complex's courts in late January 2025. Not at all. Not as the star of a WTA 500 event, which is among the most prominent competitions outside of the Grand Slams. However, there she was ranked 45th in the world just after winning the Philippine Women's Open and bearing the aspirations of a whole country. YA was the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title, the US Open Girls Champion, the prodigy throughout the majority of her career, and the one that everyone predicted would succeed. The professional circuit, however, is a different animal. Juniors are chewed up and then spat out. Potential is unimportant to it. It requires outcomes. YA had also been grinding for almost 3 years, moving between ITF tournaments, slogging through qualifications, and battling for every ranking point as if it were her last. Abu Dhabi was meant to be a test, an opportunity to demonstrate that she was one of the top 50 in the world. An opportunity to demonstrate that the excitement wasn't all hype. Yes, she had a career-high rating when she arrived, but she also had questions. Could she regularly compete at this level? Would she be able to bear the strain of playing for a nation that had never produced a player in the top 40? Was she able to deliver when it counted? The draw wasn't favorable. In the opening round, she faced Aleksandar Sasnovich, a battle-tested Belarusian who had defeated Serena Williams in sets and eliminated players ranked in the top 10. Sasnovich's ranking was just off the top 100. However, she posed a threat. She was seasoned. She was a previous visitor. ISA. She continued to study. This time, though, something was different. It was a different crowd. There was a change in energy, not merely to observe, but also to believe. Thousands of Filipinos had traveled to Abu Dhabi. With flags, chants, and a faith that only a nation devoid of tennis glory can muster. They crammed the stands. I sense it as well. Every scream, every prayer, and every glimmer of hope in the stadium resonated with her. This was no ordinary match. She wasn't going to let this opportunity pass her by. However, what took place next? No one anticipated it. Not even YA herself, not the audience, not the critics. Alex YA was in the last stages of the contest. 2 hours in, the opening set was a 26 loss for her. By hitting deep and guiding YA around the court like a chess piece, Sasnovich was controlling play. YA, though, retaliated. She won the second set 6-4 to tie the match. The audience erupted. It was this. They had come to visit this particular YA. The third set then started. Sasnovich blasted him. She repeatedly broke YA's serve before breaking it again. It was 4 before anyone could blink. Sasnovich served during the game. AA's obituary was already being written by the commentators. They claimed it was a great attempt, but insufficient. Standing at the baseline, Isa's knees were shaking, her lungs were screaming, and she was soaking sweat. She had one more game to prove all the doubters wrong, one more game to go home, and one more game to be eliminated. Then something happened. She retaliated. The audience let forth a roar. She then held serve. The roar increased in volume. Then she broke once again. The stadium as a whole stood. All of a sudden, it was 4-3, 44, and 55. Sasnovich, snorts, was now drowning after cruising. YA had fought her way back to life. At 55 in the third set, the match ended in a tiebreak. The victor takes everything. Match point had been saved by YA. The odds were against her. Could she, however, finish? The tiebreak played out like a suspenseful movie point by point. It was life or death at every ball. The weight of a nation was carried by each swing. Alice served in the tiebreak at 6-5. Sasnovich went back to his roots. Sasnovich's frantic response sailed long after intervened and crushed a forehand down the line. 2,664-765. Game, set, match. Pure war for 2 hours and 51 minutes. The throng burst into flames. Eala broke down in sobs as she fell to the court. It was her. She was alive. I just kept fighting for my family, for my country, she said in her post-match interview, hardly able to contain her emotions. I didn't want to disappoint them. Even though she was unaware of it at the time, her return would alter everything. The payout was when things truly got crazy. Even if the triumph was amazing, let's discuss numbers because victory in tennis is more important than fame. They are financial in nature. And Alex just got lucky. Her journey to the Abu Dhabi tournament second round, she won $35,000 in prize money in open singles. That is more than the majority of Filipinos earn annually. She, snorts, wasn't finished though. Along with Irina Rodionova, Isa participated in doubles and advanced to the quarterfinals. Her bank account gained an additional $10,859 as a result of the run. $45,859 for the entire haul from Abu Dhabi in a week. To put it in context, Isa earned almost $150,000 in total prize money in 2024. She received over a third of that from Abu Dhabi alone. It was more than just a good week. A game share was this person. However, the narrative was not only about the money. Her ranking is the true surprise. The most recent WTA rankings were released on February 3, 2025. For the first time in history, Alex Isa became the first Filipino to break the top 40, rising from world number 45 to 38, a career high. Do you know what that implies? With her current ranking of 38, Eala can now directly enter every WTA 1000 event, which is the largest competition held outside of the Grand Slams. No more pleading for wild cards or qualifying. She enters on autopilot, the tennis community noticed during a Tennis Channel live interview. Former Australian player and analyst Dani Saville, who peaked at number 20 in the world, stated, "Tournaments should do everything in their power to have Alexia. She attracts admirers. She adds vitality. She is a force to be reckoned with. Electric." Since YA was doing more than just winning matches, that was the term that everyone kept using. Stadiums were being sold out by her. There are 5,000 seats available at the Abu Dhabi International Tennis Complex. 90% of the crowd was Filipino. There were flags everywhere and there was a chance of Lone and Alex resonating through the stands during YA's games. The organizers of the tournament claimed to have never witnessed something similar, nor for a player in the 40s, nor for a match in the first round. The prize money, the ranking boost, and the direct entries were all evidence that YA had made it to the top. Here's the query, though, that nobody has yet raised. What is the true cost of success like this? Because there is a cost associated with every large payout and the real fight was only getting started for YA. Let's go back to January 25, 2025. Fabri Di Albiac, the event director, was anxious as the Abu Dhabi Open got underway. Not about the weather, not about the top seeds. The logistics worried him due to the fact that thousands of Filipinos were arriving in Abu Dhabi. They traveled from the Middle East where hundreds of thousands of Filipino expatriates work. Manila, Cebu, and Davao. They arrived with posters, flags, and jerseys with Isa's name on them. They transformed the Abu Dhabi Open into a Filipino fiesta while they were there to see history. Later, Dilbach said to reporters, "Grand Slam champions have visited us. We have had players in the top 10, but this is the largest crowd we have ever seen. Not for a match in the first round. It was crazy how much energy there was. There were roars in response to each point that YA won. The crowd went wild after every rally, every ace, and every triumph. The opposition wasn't merely using YA. They were representing a whole country." While providing analysis for Tennis Channel Live, Dani Saville couldn't stop discussing it. She claimed that tennis needed these players with youthful charm who attract new audiences. She should be treated like royalty at tournaments. It wasn't just talk either. It was supported by the numbers. The organizers of the competition reported that ticket sales for the sessions were twice as high as anticipated. Her name-branded merchandise sold out in a matter of hours. Every time she performed, the tournament's social media engagement increased. YA was aware that she had turned into a marketing treasure trove. Following her comeback victory over Sasnovich, A stated in a post-match interview, "I sense the support. It's too much. All I want is for everyone to be proud." The problem with being a national hero, however, is this. There is pressure involved. Filipinos wanted more than simply ISA to win. They anticipated it. They required it. Eala was crucial for a nation lacking Grand Slam champions, tennis facilities, or a track record of elite achievement. She represented hope. She served as evidence that Filipinos were capable of competing globally, and that sort of expectation is very burdensome. Felix, a former tennis legend from the Philippines, Alex is carrying a burden no one else understands, Barrentus stated in a local interview. Not only is she playing for herself, There are 110 million people watching her perform. However, YA had no complaints. She was doing well. Additionally, the Abu Dhabi run demonstrated her ability to cope with pressure. Would she be able to maintain it? Since surviving the grind is where the true tale lies, victory is just one thing. In Abu Dhabi, Alexa earned $45,859. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Money that can change your life. Here's what nobody discusses, though. The majority of it is not kept by her. Let's dissect it. Taxes come first. YA can lose 20 to 30% immediately away, depending on the tournament's location and her residency status. Before she ever sees the check, $9,000 to $13,000 has already been spent. Then there is her hitting partner, coach, physiotherapist, nutritionist, and crew. They must all be compensated. Travel costs quickly mount up, including airfare, lodging, meals, and visas. The expenses of an ALS team might easily reach $10,000 to $15,000 for a competition like Abu Dhabi. All of a sudden, that $45,859 in real take-home pay seems more like $20,000. Yes, it was still substantial, but not as much as it appeared. The harsh reality of professional tennis is as follows. You're barely making ends meet if you're not among the top 20. YA is currently rated 38th. Even though she's outperforming 99% of gamers, she's still struggling to make ends meet. It's a nightmare to travel. Tennis players are on their own, in contrast to team sports where organizations manage logistics. ISA must handle all of her own travel, accommodation, and visa arrangements for each nation where she competes. A visa is required for the UAE. Visas are needed for Europe and Qatar. Every competition is a logistical conundrum. Then there is the psychological cost. ISA is 20 years of age. She is expected to be going to college, hanging out with pals, and discovering who she is. Rather, she travels by plane every week, sleeping in a new hotel, eating unfamiliar cuisine, and bearing the aspirations of a whole country. People see the wins, the prize money, the rankings, I stated in a rare, unguarded moment at a news conference earlier this year in Manila. They are blind to my loneliness, my wounds, and the times I've sobbed in hotel rooms over missing home. That is the price of striving for greatness. YA is also covering the cost. What sets her apart from everyone else, though, is this. She isn't whining. She is not offering justifications. Since she is aware that her window for success in tennis is limited, she is simply working, grinding, and fighting. From here, where does she go? Since the run in Abu Dhabi was only the start, Alex YA currently holds the 38th position in the world rankings. Give that some thought. Just now, a 20-year-old from a nation with virtually little tennis infrastructure broke into the top 40. She hasn't finished yet. The Car Open in Doha is the next event. Another WTA 1000 occasion. No requirements, direct admission. She has earned her berth and is competing against the world's best. What this means for Philippine tennis, however, is the more significant tale. The Philippines has been a basketball nation for many years. The idea of tennis was an afterthought. There were few courts. The cost of coaching was high. In order to succeed, players had to leave the nation. That's exactly what ISA did. She received her training in Spain at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She excelled in the junior circuit of Europe. In order to get here, she gave up everything. She is now demonstrating to a whole generation of Filipino children that it is feasible. Record enrollment is being reported by Manila Tennis. Children who have never touched a racket are requesting instruction from their parents. A list achievement is igniting a movement. However, there is a reverse aspect. The infrastructure for tennis in the Philippines is still decades behind. There are no significant sponsorships or government-funded initiatives. It depends on her family and a few private donors to pay for her expenses. Therefore, she is virtually self-funded. A former Davis from the Philippines. In a recent interview, Cup captain Roland Kraut stated, "Alex is doing everything alone. Just think of what she could accomplish if she had cash, a nationwide program, and genuine backing." The dream is that because of YA's success, the Philippine government and commercial sector will be compelled to sponsor young players, construct courts, invest in tennis, and establish a pipeline that will not rely solely on one superstar to carry the sport. YA is also thinking more broadly. She's not only after ranks. She aspires to top 20 rankings, Grand Slam, main draws, trophies, and legacy. This is just the start, she stated in her post-Abu Dhabi interview. My goal is to motivate the upcoming generation. She's already doing it, and I want Filipino children to think they can succeed as well. She is demonstrating that Filipinos are worthy of being on the international scene each time she takes the court. She gives the finger to everyone who said it couldn't be done with each ranking point she receives. Alex did more than just make a lot of money in Abu Dhabi. She profited from a lifetime of selflessness, faith, and perseverance. The top tennis players also shaken because they know what's about to happen. Alex is a storm, a fighter, a champion, and she's only just getting started. Was Abu Dhabi merely on a hot streak then? Or did Eala just become unstoppable at this point? There is little doubt that the Philippines and the tennis community are keeping an eye on things. They now believe instead of only wishing. What are your thoughts? By the end of 2026, will Eala be able to make it into the top 20? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Additionally, if Alex is riding with you, this narrative is far from over.